make sure you have a sturdy pair of shoes ready too, because if you do get hit, you're going to be walking through rubble afterwards, and you want to make sure you have good shoes on for that. And also helmets have been valuable. It's been documented before that saved lives. Usually it's blunt force trauma to the head that kills people in tornadic activity. So we want to make sure we're all being safe here. So let's go ahead and drill in on this. It's getting pretty close to Highway 6. Now, if you can go ahead and do the cone there and draw it with this northeasterly track there, Noah, it's right between Truscott and north of Benjamin right now with that rotational area. It's going across Texas State Highway 6 there. It's a little bit north of 82, obviously, and then when these storms start to develop like this, they usually turn into right turners. A lot of our storms are on more northeasterly tracks today. This one's starting to turn more east-northeast because it's becoming a fairly dominant supercell. So let's go ahead and time this out. Gilliland, you're getting closer to about 215 when this is going to be approaching you. And then further off to the west, Truscott, you're still south of this main tornado warning. Benjamin, once again, you need to be in your safe spot right now in about 15 minutes. You should be cleared out of it. I'm hoping it stays north of Benjamin, but if you do live north of Benjamin, you need to get to that safe spot right now. So that is our tornado warning that we have in effect right now. Let's start out the next part of this coverage by going back to the tornado watch. I want to talk about the tornado watch again, as we're going to be here for a while.
Here we go.
You got it? Take your time. There we go. So there's our particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. Now, this is why I'm thinking that we're probably going to be here with you for a while now, because we've gotten our first warning. I'm expecting another warning on that storm that's just to the southwest of Knox County at some point here, and that's just going to be how this day goes. We're going to get one after another with these storms starting to develop, and really this is about the time frame. I actually said earlier today about 2 o'clock is when we can probably expect this to start ramping up, and that is exactly what's happened. This is a day where we could see several tornadoes, several strong tornadoes also possible. We're talking about EF2 plus type range. It's also potentially a day where we could see EF3 or EF4 tornadoes. It's just one of those days that we've got to be very careful, and we got to stay weather aware. If you're not in this current tornado warning, you need to keep an eye on the weather as we go throughout the rest of the day. It's just going to be a rough day here as we talk about the weather, and this is going to continue through the afternoon, into the evening, and potentially into the overnight hours in some spots. So that's why we got to stay aware of this. So now further off to the north, we do have a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings. This one in Jackson County. It's about to be exiting the county. It is starting to show maybe some weak signs of rotation, but by the time it gets out, or by the time that develops, it's probably going to be out of the northern portions of Jackson County. And Altus, you are included in the warning, but the storm's staying away from you. Now, we do have a couple more cells in Comanche County that are starting to develop, but they also weakened a little bit there as they moved off to the north, but they are now moving out of the county. Let's go ahead and look at those other storms that are further off to the south of this one. So we had a couple that were trying in Haskell County there. They really haven't developed much, but as we look at the one that's in the northern, or really I forget which county this one is to the west of Haskell, but in this one that's just to the northwest of Haskell County, that's going to be in the next area of rotation. Knox City, I want you to take particular note of this storm. This is going to be one that I'm expecting to rotate, and it's on a trajectory towards you. So you need to be aware of this storm, and we're going to be watching this one closely as well, along with the other tornadic activity. So we do have Chris Boone that's going to be out and sending us video back today. We do not have Kyle. Kyle was unfortunately already had a planned trip out of town, and he was not able to be here. He had left on Thursday and was not going to be able to get back. So that is an unfortunate circumstance for today as we do this coverage, but that's where we're at. So is there anything in the chat there, Noah, that you're noticing they're saying?
No, nothing new as of yet. It's a lot of stuff that's either north or west of our area.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and put on the velocities there then. Okay, so here's our rotational signature.
Clear rotation there.
Yeah, clear rotation. Going to cross State Highway 6, Texas State Highway 6 here. I mean, in about less than 5 minutes, it's going to go right over the highway south of Truscott. So if you live near Texas State Highway 6, south of Truscott, north of Benjamin, you need to be in that safe spot now. And don't wait. You need to get there now. Gilliland, you also need to get in that safe spot imminently, because it's going to be approaching you in about 10 to 15 minutes. You need to be really planning to stay safe here as we go throughout. Now, for our other storm that's to the southwest, let's look at the rotation on that one. That's a little further to the southwest. So we do have some signs of rotation. We switched radars, which is why the colors changed on us. And this one's going towards the radar in the green, red going away from it, and that's going to be our rotational signature right there in the core of that storm on the southwest flank. That's going to be going to the northeast. That's why I've been pointing out Knox City. It's really on a trajectory going really close to Knox City. It's not developed enough yet to produce a tornado, but it is strengthening just like that one to the north has been. So that's
They're going to
storm.
tennis balls on that tornado.
Tennis ball sized hail now. So that's going to be a little bit more spread out across across Knox County. Let's go ahead and go back to it then. And let's put back on the reflectivities. And so the core of the storm, now Truscott, you probably are going to be getting that hail. The hail core is very close to you. I know you're not included in the main tornado warning, but the hail for potential tennis ball size hail, that's going to cause obviously quite a bit of damage with this storm. So we are going to watch for the hail threat too as we go throughout today. We're going to get more hail producing storms than we get tornado producing storms, but we're going to get a lot of both. That's just going to be how this day goes. So now we talked about further down the line. Let's go ahead and look further off to the east with this storm. Now, as you go further off to the east, we're going to get into portions of Baylor County. That is mostly rural areas. If you do have rural homes in southern portions of Wilbarger County or northern portions of Baylor County, you need to be aware of this storm that's coming through too, because it's almost on a trajectory. I mean, I remember our trajectory of the Lockett tornado went just south of Kroll, near Thalia, and then crossed up to the north towards Lockett. This one's almost on a similar path, but just further to the south about what is that, like 40 miles there, south of Kroll. So now it's going to be continuing on that path, turning a little bit more to the east here as it continues to strengthen. So, in Gilliland, I need you to get in that safe spot immediately. I mean, you only have a little bit of time here before this approaches you, and it's on a pretty good trajectory towards you right now with this storm.
You can see we're getting a bigger inflow boundary there too by Gilliland. It just keeps strengthening at this rate.
Yeah, you got the nice little inflow, nice little pendant there in the center of it. I mean, this is a very, very strong rotational signature that's starting to develop here continuously. I'm going to keep an eye on it over here too. Don't see anything in the correlation coefficient to show any kind of debris signature. And so as it gets closer, still looking about 215 to 218, somewhere in that range right there. So less than 10 minutes though, regardless in Gilliland. You need to be in that safe spot. Benjamin, it's starting to get a little bit away from you. I still want you to stay in your safe spot for a little bit longer. Give it about 5 minutes, and then you can come out, and then you'll be good to go. I'll continue to clear people out of this morning as it moves off to the northeast. And so you look at the debris. I don't see anything in here. We would look for some blues or grays to pop up there in the center where the rotational signature is. Right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. You maybe could argue a little bit there. This is where we start to look for a way to confirm via radar, a tornado on the ground. Right now, we don't see anything like that per se at the moment. Mike, if you're listening, tell Chris that if he ever gets something on the ground, just feel free to text it to me. I do have my watch on, and I do check my text during storm coverage because a lot of times I will get reports via text from people. And
you can always send it to me as well.
And yeah, you can always send it to Noah too. So that way we can get some eyes on this storm and see what we're seeing. Yeah, it is a strengthening. It's not super tight with this velocity signature. So we got really bright blues are almost starting to develop there in the southern portions of it. It is a strong air mass or strong flow of air that's going towards our radar site up in Frederick. The outbound velocities that we call them there in the red, the ones that are going away from the radar, aren't quite as strong, and it's not quite as tight with those stronger velocities. But what that does signal to me is we got a pretty strong rear flank downdraft. It's on the southwest flank of the storm, and that can also lead to some strengthening tornadic activity too with this storm. So right now, that would be my main concern is the continuously strengthening circulation there that's going towards Gilliland. And now it's about to completely cross the highway. It's really right over the highway right now. They're south of Truscott on Highway 6 as it makes its way to the east-northeast. All right, so that's all we can say about that storm for this time period.
Let's go ahead. You saw the ones up here. I'm sure they're completely out of Comanche County, and then this one's just about to exit.
Yeah, it is about to exit. Let's look at the one that's to the southwest there in Knox City then. Let's take a second. Yeah, it's still clear supercell signatures. I mean, you got the little hook that's coming down to the southwest, not a clearly defined hook yet, but it is starting to hook a little bit more and more, and the rotational signature is going to start strengthening with that.
Yep. So, okay, I'm going to zoom in back on that storm.
Yeah. Are you looking for it in chat or something? Or
no, I was getting my, because I have radar scope on my phone just so I can keep, more eyes on this. And
right.
so I can have one thing on reflectivity, one thing on
So
velocity.
Another note for those that are watching on Facebook or via streaming in the internet today. Well, if you're watching on Facebook, this really only applies to you. When we're talking about the chat, we are not talking about the Facebook comments. We don't see the Facebook comments. So if you ask questions in there, we're not going to see it. We're talking about National Weather Service chat, which is where spotters and the National Weather Service communicate with us. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the chat. Every once in a while, I think people get a little confused and ask a lot of questions in there.
And I think something that's important, Michael, is that, you know, while yes, we're obviously the most worried about tornado threat, is that you were just pointing out with the velocity where though you got those bright greens. I mean, those are still very strong winds, even if a tornado's not on the ground.
Yeah, we call it a rear flank downdraft. This is what we would call an RFD surge. And an RFD surge is generally very strong winds on the southwest flank of the storm. We can see them get to 100 miles per hour or stronger. And as we saw, even though a lot of people don't believe me, with the downburst that occurred in August in Wichita Falls, RFD surge winds over 100 miles per hour can cause a lot of damage. So that's going to be another concern with this one in Knox County. So the other thing I want to say today, too, because we're probably going to be here for a while, for those of you watching, keep this in mind. On satellite, if you're watching on satellite, you know, whatever service you use, these time frames are going to be delayed by about a minute. If you're watching via the internet, streaming, or on social media, these times are going to be delayed a couple of minutes because it takes a while for the feed to go out. So whenever I say 5 minutes, that really means more like 3 minutes if you're watching via Facebook or the internet. That's like streaming, any of those internet streaming services that are out there. So always keep that in mind. It's better safe than sorry. Do not wait for me to say, oh, it's a couple minutes away. That's too late. You want to get to your safe spot much sooner than that.
Yeah, Michael, I agree with what Rick just said in chat. I just want to let you read it before you...
Okay, so they're saying, so we just got the National Weather Service. I don't see anything correlation coefficient-wise to confirm it just yet. But, yeah, there's with that rotational signature, I would agree. There's a high likelihood, they were just saying, of a tornado on the ground north of Benjamin. So, yeah.
I think just because those two areas you were talking about, you see in that very last scan, they do get closer together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still waiting for them to, really start to connect and really strengthen that rotation.
Hello?
But there's definitely a strong RFD surge, likely a tornado on the ground heading towards Gilliland at this point, just north of Benjamin. I think Noah's getting a phone call. I think we're starting to get some information. Let's see here. We also have our, that's going to be another thing to use here.
Just stay on that one.
Yeah. He's talking to Chris right now, trying to see if what Chris is seeing at the moment. That's what Noah's doing at the moment. So I don't see anything to signal a strong tornado on the ground, but there is a good chance that there is a tornado on the ground, though. And any tornado is a tornado. You know, just because you put a certain rating on it does not necessarily mean that it can't do a lot of damage. For years, 1979 Wichita Falls tornado was the most damaging tornado on record, but it was rated an EF4. The rating only means so much. People get obsessed with it. It's just a way for us to talk about the strength of the tornado itself, not how much damage it did. So just because it may be not a high-rated tornado does not mean it can't do a lot of damage. We've had EF1s hit Bowie that caused a lot of damage. I've had EF3s do a lot of damage, of course, too, in Jacksboro and Lockett. So don't get too obsessed with the rating on these storms. And we obviously won't know ratings until after it's passed anyway. So treat all these tornadoes as strong tornadoes and that you need to be in your safe spot immediately. Who were you just talking to? Were you just talking to Chris there, Noah?
Sorry, Chris. He said it's 8 miles south of Gilliland.
Okay.
I said maybe get a tiny bit further south.
Okay.
If you could.
Yeah. Yeah. Most important thing for him is to stay safe. But yes. So while you're over there, though, let's go back to reflectivity and zoom out a little bit. And while I'm talking about these two storms, I want you to get on the Seymour Tower cam and point it to the northwest there and just see if we can see anything that we can talk about. So Knox City, you still don't have a tornado warning on that storm that's approaching you. There is still the likelihood that it could become a tornadic thunderstorm. Nothing yet, but also I want to point out Monday, you'd also be pretty close to being in line for that. And then as we go towards portions of Baylor County, but Martin, you'd also be included along that. And then going up towards Seymour, that would be a storm that could move towards Seymour too. excuse me, well, this storm is going to stay more to the northwest. That storm could go right along the highway up towards Seymour. Right now, it's not rotating as strong enough to get a tornado warning, but it is still a powerful thunderstorm. In fact, I'm going to see if they've mentioned anything from San Angelo in here about that storm.
Unfortunately, Michael, I think it's just so cloudy that I can't really get any details out on.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. I figured it's going to be one of those days where the tower cams can be useful, but if the tower cam's useful, that means the tornado or tornadic storm is going to be going right over it. So it might destroy the camera in the process at that point. So hopefully we avoid that because all of our tower cams are in population centers, and we obviously don't want this tornado to hit anyone, but yeah, it could hit a lot of people if it hit a population center. So Gilliland, I'll repeat this again. You got to be in your safe spot. You got a couple minutes here. Likely a tornado on the ground. We don't have any confirmations on that. One of the reasons it's hard to confirm via radar is because Knox County is a little bit too far away from the Abilene radar and also a little too far away from the Frederick radar. We call it a radar gap. And it's really hard to get good signatures at the surface on these things. We haven't gotten any spotter reports, and it just kind of depends on the spot if we do get any spotter reports. And it's going to be tough for spotters, just for, like the same thing with our tower cams. We have a hard time seeing things with a tower cam right now. It's the same thing there with spotters. When it's cloudy skies and it's not perfectly clear, it's harder to see all the way through underneath the thunderstorm to see what's going on with that wall cloud or what's going on with that funnel. Is the funnel on the ground? And all those things factor in on a day like this. And it's a weird day. A lot of times, the sun comes out and then the storms develop. The conditions today, it didn't even need the sun to come out. Our storm relative velocity that we call it is extremely high, and a lot of the triggers for thunderstorms are extremely high, which is why we got this storm. And we have a strengthening rotation now. I would say, considering how far away this is from the radar site, I could almost guarantee, without giving a full guarantee, that there is a tornado on the ground right now heading towards Gilliland. You've got to be in your safe spot. One more review. Away from exterior walls and windows. Small bathroom, small closet is going to be the best spot to be, unless, of course, you have a storm shelter, whether that's an above-ground storm shelter or a below-ground storm shelter. Those are both going to be extremely important in this situation. I want you to make sure you're protecting yourself. I can only say the words. I need you to take the action to keep yourself safe and your family safe. Put on your shoes. If you have them right there, take no more than 1 minute getting ready. If you have a couch cushion, grab it, put it over your head. You just got to get to your safe spot now. It's going right towards you at this point. So, Gilliland, once again, get to that safe spot. Let's go ahead and put on correlation coefficient again. Let's do the debris tractor. Circulation in Knox City, Knox County is likely to the south and east. Yeah, and north of there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
trying to
that's
find
exactly
a camera view in Quanah, but I think the storm's just too far away.
It's too far away from Quanah. If it was perfectly sunny, I would say, yeah, maybe, but not today. I don't see anything that screams debris. If we see debris on the storm since it's so far away, because this is how radars work, if you didn't know that, the Earth is curved, right? And we got a beam that goes out. We try to do it as low as possible without hitting anything. But the thing is that the further you get away from the radar site, the higher up it looks in the atmosphere, because you can't point it flat because it would, you point it as flat as possible, but the Earth's curved. So it slowly but surely will look higher and higher in the atmosphere as the Earth curves downward. That's how radars work. So if we did see debris on this, we're looking a little bit higher in the storm than we would if, say, the storm was in Vernon. If the storm was in Vernon, we're pretty close to Frederick. We're getting a really good look at the lower portions. If we see debris pop up on this debris tracker, that means it's being lofted pretty high in the air, and that means a likely strong tornado at that point. Okay, so circulation, yeah. Not seeing a whole lot of updates. Still a reminder about the hail threat. Also tennis ball sized hail with this storm. Let's go ahead and put back on reflectivity if we can. Yeah, probably going to see some tennis ball sized hail in and around Gilliland too.
Mm-hmm. About to get that.
Yeah. So once again, I can't stress this enough. You got to be in your safe spot now. You got to get there. Let's take a second. Let's zoom out a little bit. I want to make sure we're not, obviously the most important storm right now is the tornado warning storm. I want to make sure we're not missing anything. So this storm's starting to cycle. It's to the southwest. That's good news as far as right now, but it could turn into bad news if the recycle turns into a good storm. What we mean by that is some storms will develop a circulation. It'll start to weaken, and after it weakens all the way down, then it develops another area that's circulating. Or sometimes you'll have two areas that are circulating at the same time, and one becomes more dominant than the other. And that's what I think we're kind of seeing with that Knox County storm. Yeah, those northern ones have moved out at this point. And there's a new severe thunderstorm warning, not for Knox County, though. It's going to be for northern Haskell. But there's this area rotation, then it's starting to develop another one to the back. That's what we're talking about with the cycling. That main area rotation that it had before is starting to move to the northeast into the storm more, and that's going to be our next area rotation that develops on the back side of it. Man.
I think.
Let's see here.
That's got to be Stonewall County, right?
Yes,
Okay,
that's it. Thank you.
I'm in the Lubbock chat, and they did say we received a report. We received a report of a rotating wall cloud on that storm.
Okay, so a rotating wall cloud is approaching Knox City and likely eventually approaching Monday. So Knox City and Monday, you do not have a tornado warning right now, but I need you to act like you're gonna get one. Be prepared. Everyone else outside of Texoma, let's take a second for that. Let's go review. Since we have a second while we're waiting for more frames, and Gilliland, once again, we're not going to leave you. We want you to make sure that you are in your safe spot right now. Let's go ahead and review some of those things. At the very top, not the tornado watch. I have those graphics, those informational graphics. Yeah, let's take a second and go over those. Okay, so storm safety. We just talked about this with the tornado safety. Storm shelter basement, lowest floor. The most important thing is we start to get into areas that have more apartments. You need to make some friends today. I want you to make friends with your downstairs neighbor. I know it's a lot of social anxiety in the world now. We're all used to being on our devices and not meeting face to face, but I need you to go make some friends. Say, hey, if we get a tornado warning, can I come downstairs and, hide with you? Lots of people are willing to let you do that on tornado days like this, and you'll maybe make a friend once again. So storm shelter basement, lowest floor. Interior small room, that's why we're talking about the small bathroom, small closet. The goal is to put as many walls between you and the center of your home as possible. You want to cover your head. Helmet is going to be the best thing to be. Once again, if you have a bicycle helmet today or a hockey helmet, which I know most people around here don't have hockey helmets like I do, but if you do, or a football helmet for that matter, that would be amazing to be able to wear. Once again, most tornado fatalities are the result of trauma, blunt force trauma to the head. Cushion is also going to be a good thing to have. Grab it off the couch. It's an easy little one to grab. Or a pillow. You can put that over your head. This is a lot of times back in the day, and obviously don't open the windows. That's an old school thought. You don't need to do that. Don't worry about which corner of the house you're in. You want to be in the center of your house. And a lot of times back in the day, I remember when I was younger, we would pull out the mattress and bring it into the bathroom and hide in the bathtub. I mean, you can do that, but that's not something you want to do right when it's happening. It can be useful, but it's not as important as just having something to cover your head. So I do want to say this and let's go to the next graphic. Yeah.
Yep.
And because I want to point this out, the Weather Service just put out a new graphic. Wichita County, the northwestern half of Archer County, most of Wilbarger County, all of Baylor County, and all of Knox County, they're saying the tornado threat is continuing to increase. And that's because these supercells, and that's one thing I haven't really mentioned much of because we're kind of more focused on Wilbarger and Baylor right now, these supercells are on track for Wichita County. So in Wichita County, I need you to take this seriously too. I know it gets annoying with me talking all day long about these storms, but you need to be paying attention as well. And we're talking about northwestern Archer County, so pretty close to Archer City still. Dundee, we're talking about Holiday. I mean Lakeside City, all those areas, and then it will eventually go into portions of Tillman County, Cotton County, and then maybe into western portions of Clay County. So let's keep talking about this. And for those areas that I just mentioned, this is going to be extremely important for you. Pick your safe place now. You need to think about it. Remember, it's the interior part of your home. Pick a place to meet with your family. Now, I know that's a hard thing to talk about, but you pick some sort of structure that's nearby that's not going to get torn up. In case y'all get separated, you want to think about that. Medicines, gather those. Charge your phone. Phones are extremely important nowadays. You got to get that thing charged. Sturdy shoes are important, and grab a jacket too. Jackets are also valuable. Okay, let's go back to the radar.
We have a new warning.
A new tornado warning?
Not a tornado warning, but it's this one in Knox County, Michael.
Okay.
Tornado possible.
Okay, so they are issuing tornado possible. What they mean by that is there's not enough there for them to say, hey, we should issue a tornado warning on this. But there is enough there that they're thinking, hey, it could happen, and it could happen soon. That's why they issue the tornado possible tag. Let's look at the rotation on that. Don't see.
Probably
there
that
it is.
guy down there.
Yeah, it's back here. Yeah, that's clear rotation to the southwest. It doesn't look extremely strong just yet. It doesn't look as organized as the northern one, but it is clearly there. Let's go ahead and look at our northern one again.
Definitely a bit.
It looks like it's broken up some. That's good. I don't
Very
want to
good.
say it's a 100%. It's off the ground. There's nothing on the ground. There's no chance of it redeveloping, but it has weakened. That's good. It's all those reds that we saw earlier. We've started to lose those. The greens are getting pretty sharp towards the radar site still, but not as sharp as they were. That's good news. That's what we want to see on the radar as we go through these things. Don't see anything on the debris tracker there for the correlation coefficient. I mean, that's all good news that we're seeing right now in this storm. So all good news right there. Okay, so that new warning for Knox County. As we talk about Knox County, everyone in Knox County really at this point has a warning, severe thunderstorm warning at least. And this one's for tennis ball sized hail. The southern one is for golf ball sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Do not underestimate the 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And of course, no one underestimates hail around here. We all know how much hail damage can be. Keep an eye on the chat still. So, yeah, it's starting to break up some too on reflectivity, Noah. I mean, it's
because that inflow boundary is nowhere near as pronounced as it was a couple scans ago.
Yeah, you still get some inflow. That's going to be the air going into the storm, helping it start to develop that rotation. But it is much weaker than it was earlier. Once again, I don't want to signal the all clear, and I expect this storm to cycle. I do not expect this storm to suddenly die. It's going to develop a new area rotation. That's just how it goes. But I do expect it to. It looks like it's weaker at the moment, so that's good news. Let's look at our southern one on reflectivity. Okay, so this one, once again, we're in a little bit of a radar gap where we're too far from the Abilene radar, too far from the Frederick radar, so it looks a little funky on here. But yeah, there's still definitely clear signs. I mean, the one to the north is more what we call a high precipitation supercell structure, where there's a lot of precipitation around the circulation, which is why it was probably, if there was something on the ground, it was going to be hard to see. It was probably wrapped in rain. This is more classic supercell structure. So there's high precipitation, classic, low precipitation structures of supercells. And so this one that's a little bit lower is definitely more classic supercell. Got a text from Chris Boone. Gusty winds and poor visibility near Gilliland. Okay, that makes sense. And so once again, that poor visibility thing that he just mentioned, that's going to be the rain wrapped around the circulation. And we're going to probably see a few of those happen today as there's a lot of moisture in the air. So I expect to see quite a few of these be high precipitation.
I think someone mentioned, I think Duncan, I know it's a little farther north, but their dew point was at 73 degrees.
Yeah. The higher the dew point, what's the Shepherd dew point right now?
I'm about to look.
The higher the dew point, the easier it is for tornadoes. If you can
it went down a little bit, but it's 67. So 79 over 67 right now.
That's weird. That's higher up towards Duncan, but wow. But yeah, the higher the dew point, the easier it's going to be for storms to be surface-based. That means there's enough moisture at the surface, enough instability that the storm's using the entire atmosphere above and below it. And that also means it's easier for tornadoes to get towards the ground. The higher the dew point, the easier for a condensation funnel to make it down to the ground.
Vernon's at 69, so a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'm feeling that out west they're all a little bit higher. Noah, why don't you take over for a second? I'm going to get a drink of water here.
Okay. So, yep. So here, yeah, there's our tornado warning. That has been issued until. I'm gonna find the tornado warning.
You can always sample it.
I got it right here. Yep. So that's been issued till 2:45. So it does expire in the next 15 minutes. But like Michael said, you can see now all of a sudden that inflow boundary is really starting to cut off there, just to the northeast of Gilliland. Gillen, if you're there, I would still say just be in your safe spot for a few more minutes. Not really ready to give the all clear on this as of yet. But with that, combined with the velocity scans, I mean, we've completely almost lost the entirety of the reds. I mean, there's a bit of that by Gillen, but, still watching to see if that redevelops here down the line. Okay, that's out of our area. And then we got this guy here, clear rotation there to the northwest of Judd, about to move into Knox County, southwestern Knox County. Again, still not a tornado warning on this, but tornado possible, meaning that we could see a tornado warning here very shortly if that does continue to show favorable rotation.
Yeah, once again, in Knox City and Monday, I would anticipate a tornado warning. You don't have one right now, but I would at least anticipate it.
Have everything ready to go if you get one.
Yeah, because this is coming right towards you, and that's obviously not a spot that you want to be in.
Like all the stuff that you need prepared to go to the storm shelter, just have it by wherever the entry is to the storm shelter. That's what I would always recommend.
Yeah. Yep. So right now I'm kind of looking at some forecast models too while we're here waiting on these storms to decide what they want to do, because one of them is weakening in Gilliland, so that's obviously good news. And then the other one we're still waiting to see if it strengthens any bit more.
They're still continuing it for Ford and Knox. They just cut off the backside of it.
Yeah. Why don't we pull up the? Actually, you keep talking for a second. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Okay. So yeah, they cut off the end of this warning. So Truscott, you are no longer in the tornado warning. Benjamin, you are also no longer in the tornado warning. So you guys are still getting plenty of rain, maybe getting some hail from the storm there heading into Knox County. So think you have the clear for a tornado, but still are in a couple of severe storms.
Yeah, no, in that area I just pointed, look and see if you can find the HER that's not the extended, so the most updated one. Actually, actually just use the extended one. It's in the severe weather show already because this extended one's the one coming in. So let's talk about the timing here. And we'll just go through this slowly because I know a lot of people are wondering where these storms are going to go. Once again, also, these are forecast models. Forecast models are useful, but they're not always right. This forecast model, for instance, had these storms way farther to the north. So the idea is to get an area and a general idea of the timing. So you have to give or take an hour. So like 2:30 would be 1:30 or 3:30. Not this close. When we start talking about the long range, that's what we mean. And in the area, you got to spread it out a little bit more. You got to spread it out, give or take 30 miles on the location here. So let's go closer to about 4 o'clock, see where these storms are moving. And you see it's not moving particularly fast. So we're getting more to the portions around Wilbarger and Baylor County and Throckmorton County at this point, if it were that far south, and then Tillman County, that's going to be the areas I see there. Now, let's go closer to about 5:30, or, yeah, let's go, okay, 6. And you start to see more activities really starting to spread out. As we get into the evening hours, the tornado threat continues to go up. So we got to continue to watch that. And you see it more spreading out to the southwest and northeast. Let's go closer to about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Well, we're getting a new tornado warning for Wilbarger and Archer counties now.
Okay, we'll cover that once they put it on. Let's go through the timing though real quick. So 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9:45 starts to spread more to the northeast. And I want to say this again, because when I did it on Facebook Live earlier, a lot of people were making this comment. Just because it looks like it splits around Wichita Falls does not mean it's going to split around Wichita Falls. It is a forecast model. It is not radar. It's going to change, and these things are useful to meteorologists, and if we can explain it properly to you, but it is not an actual depiction of what's going to happen. That's just kind of how it is, and especially not when it comes to a particular town. So it spreads. You really start to see it more in the central portion of Texoma, though, by 9 o'clock. So this would be a good time frame for, most of the area, really, at this point, could see storms. And then you see a line eventually forming as we get closer to midnight. We will shift to a more damaging wind threat, which is still an issue, but not as big of an issue as large, long-track tornadoes. And then as we push off to the east here, it continues to go with that line. There could still be some brief tornadoes along that line, but the chance for large, strong ones does go down quite a bit. All right, let's go back to radar and let's start talking about this next morning. I think it just got issued.
It just did get issued, yeah.
Yep. All right, let's zoom in on it. So new tornado warning. Even though this circulation has weakened some, there is still enough there that they want to keep the warning going.
They're saying it's cycling right now. That's what they're calling it.
Yep, and that's what I was saying earlier. I think it's cycling because I don't think this thing's going to stop until, I don't think this thing's going to stop for hours at this rate. So this rotational signature, it's going to be right there in the middle still. It's still trying to develop a new, really clear one. It's going right towards really the corner region here of Baylor County and Wilbarger County, and then it's going to just barely cross into portions of Ford County here. It's getting more on that northeasterly track. I mentioned before that it was turning more to the east when it had that strong rotation. What's going to happen here is as it moves to the northeast and develops that rotation, it's then going to turn back more easterly again. So that's why right now it's going more northeasterly, but it will end up turning more easterly after it develops the rotation. So it's staying away from Seymour, of course, staying south of Thalia. Right now, Grayback, you're on the outside of this warning. It is going right into the very rural areas of southern Wilbarger County and northern portions of Baylor County. So that's where that next warning is going. Let's check out the Knox City one, too.
Oh, I was going to do this real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead and do it. I don't think anything's going to pop up, though. Yeah.
It's
just because there's no population centers. Like, there are going to be rural homes, but there's no population
there's rural
centers.
homes in here, but...
Yeah. Yep. Now, as we look to the south, this area rotation is still trying to develop. It's not super well organized. You got the air going towards the radar site down towards Abilene, and the air going away from it. That's going to be your rotational signature. And it's still going to get pretty close to Knox City. Regardless of Knox City, you're going to get some hail probably pretty close to you if you're not already getting it right now. And then behind it is that area rotation that's going to develop.
Here, I'll bring it to you. You can definitely see that hail core right in there. Yep.
Okay, so they are keeping it at tennis ball sized hail too for that storm going into Wilbarger County and portions of Baylor County and Ford County. So we still have the chance for some tennis ball sized hail in that one.
And this is another thing to point to, because what you were talking about, Michael, with how it's farther away from the storm the radar is. Just because we're not seeing those huge areas of the pink that we would see on other scans does not mean that there aren't large hailstones in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a good chance that there will be quite a bit of large hail that develops today too, along with the tornado threat. We haven't had any damage reported here in Texoma, but I'll tell you right now, to the north, up in other portions of Oklahoma, where they've had some tornado warnings too. Do you see any? I don't think there's any active though right now, are there? Oh yeah, there's one in far north central Oklahoma. We don't need to spend too much time talking about the actual warnings themselves, but I just wanted to point out there have been confirmed tornadoes further off to the north today. And there, I mentioned that because I just saw a mention in the chat of 2 homes with substantial damage. So this day has already produced tornadoes, and it's only 2:40. And it's going to be a long day because it's going to continue to increase the threat here as we go into the later hours.
Just got a report of $half size, Oklahoma side, dead farther north, but...
Yeah, it's way farther north, but yeah. Yep, so right now this storm's cycling, and put back on velocity there. I think I see something. Right there. That's going to be our next area rotation. So, pause it at the end here. Let's go ahead and hit the now. Yeah. So there's the air going away from the radar site now, and there's the air going towards it. And it's right at the inflow notch, too. So this is going to be our next area rotation as it's starting to cycle. So that's going to be the area that we watch. It's going to be more into portions of Ford County. But once again, I expect it to probably cross. It's probably going to stay mostly out of Baylor County, I would say, at this point. But it is going to definitely go into the southern portions of Wilbarger County, because after that rotation develops, it's going to turn easterly towards portions of towards really the southern portions of Wilbarger County. So southern portions of Wilbarger County, you need to take a special note. If you have a rural home in southern Wilbarger, you need to take definitely a substantial note of this storm.
And that, I think that right there, Michael, that velocity run on the radar shows perfect cycling. That first rotation disappears, it looks fine, and then all of a sudden, bam, there's another one.
Yep. No, it is a textbook cycle. Okay. So we're still waiting to see if they make any decision on the southern one. Oh. Okay, no, it's not what I thought it was. Okay, we're good. But there's still,
Yeah, I'm trying to get
zoom out, and now go further north, and we can talk about that.
There we go.
Yeah, there's something right there, but that's not really the area of the storm I would expect it's got a weird structure. Put back reflectivity on for me, will you? Oh, okay, I see what's going. Yeah, so that is going to be our hook.
I see what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah, that is our hook. But yeah, there is a little bit on the backside on the rear flank. 'Cause it looks like a little updraft got swallowed up into it. So that's more moisture that just got fed into the storm on this one in southwestern portions of Knox County. And so I do expect that one to start. I mean, it looks like it's rotating. It's for sure rotating in the mid-levels. And mid-level rotation is going to be where we usually start the rotational signatures, and then it eventually gets down closer to the surface. But that is definitely a strengthening mid-level rotation on this storm, and we'll have to watch to see if it develops more of a low-level rotation, and then we'd have to really talk about Knox City and Monday here.
Yeah, because there, I mean, it's the, you see right, hold on, I gotta pause it here. See right here, there's kind of your introduction of an inflow boundary.
Yeah, that's a nice little inflow notch right there. And then we just saw the rotation in the mid-levels. This is definitely becoming a strengthening supercell, too. That's going to go into Knox City. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so anywhere along, what is this, Highway 222, there's probably going to be some large hail going on west of Knox City. Would not recommend travel, of course, in and around Knox City. In Knox City, stay home until the storm passes.
And, you know, if you want to, again, another thing is if you want a textbook definition of a inflow boundary, this guy right here.
Yeah, there's that little inflow notch, and you got air going straight into it. Let's go ahead and put the velocity back on there for it. And it's trying. It might have to cycle again. It might not be one cycle. It might take several cycles because you can still see that rotational area, but it's not as strong as it was a second ago.
Yeah, I mean, because you got reds, but I mean, they're not even reds right now. They're almost just kind of discoloration, sort of.
Yeah.
So
let's go over. Since we have a moment here, let's put back up the tornado watch. Let's go over that.
Tornado watch, go.
So here's our PDS Tornado Watch. Once again, it is a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. These do not get issued very often. In fact, I think, if I recall, it's the first one we've had since May 20th, 2019. So these are going to be issued when we have days where not only tornadoes are expected, and a high chance of them, but strong tornadoes are expected, including the chance for some intense ones when you start to talk about that EF3, EF4 range. That's the parameters that we have for today. So everyone needs to take special note of today. If you're someone that maybe gets a tornado warning, thinks, I'm going to go look for it outside. Y'all, it is super cloudy out there. It's going to be hard to see anything. Just protect yourself. Don't worry about looking outside. I know a lot of people like to play, games and stuff during this stuff, but this is a day where I really want you to take it seriously. There's just a lot of bad things that can happen, and we want to make sure everyone's staying safe out there.
I mean, I've got camera view looking northwest of Seymour, and I can't see a thing.
Yeah, it's just gonna be hard to see anything now.
And you can see how close that storm is. So just goes to show you that if this camera can't see anything, when it's probably 50, 60 feet in the air.
It's higher than that.
A little higher than that. Okay, so higher than that, you aren't gonna see.
Yeah. No, the Seymour one's on top of the water tower, so it's pretty far up there. So, and also large hail threat's going to be there too. Strong damaging wind threat's going to be there. But the large hail threat, I mean, we already see some tennis ball potential sized hail in this one. It's certainly possible we could get to baseballs or larger as we go forward. New tornado warning. Okay, not us. Okay.
Yeah, that's the further one north.
All right. So let's go back to the radar then, I guess.
Yep.
Eventually, we're going to see more of these storms form. Right now, we only got the two cells.
We got two. I mean, there was stuff trying to form by Haskell, but those have since died out.
Yeah,
maybe a tiny bit.
So the tornado risk really started to ramp up here around 2 o'clock, but the storms themselves initiating really ramps up closer to 3, 4, 5. So over the next couple of hours here, I'm anticipating us to have a lot more storms in Texoma than just these two. That are moving through portions of Knox County into now Ford and Wilbarger County.
Possibly losing that inflow notch.
Yeah, we are. I think we are trending in a good direction. It's not going to continue like that, but we are trending in a good direction, at least for the time being with this storm. Let's go ahead and put the velocities back up there and see how it's looking right there. Yeah. Not seeing anything too organized. you hit skip on the thing. Yeah. Not seeing anything too menacing, at least right now, which is good news, of course. It's just right in there. It's a weak circulation, and you could see I don't see another area that's trying to develop a circulation. That's just the only area, and it's a weak one. So this one might have been one of those that cycled, produced a tornado, and now it's going to struggle to cycle again for a little while. Eventually, it's going to get something that holds. On a day like this, we expect that. But right now, it's in kind of a cycling pattern.
And for people who are wondering like why we keep saying like the inflow boundary, like why is that so important? It's like, you know, because you might think, well, it's way far out of the storm. Well, what happens is you get all that inflow into here, and then it hits that air going away from the radar, and then bam, you get that circulation right in there.
Yeah.
So that's why we always want to look for an inflow boundary, because that can indicate a circulation deeper within the storm.
Yep, it sure can. And there is a little bit of air moving away from it on the northern edge of this warning, but that's not exactly an area where I expect a tornado to develop. Let's compare it to reflectivity for me, will you?
There you go.
Yeah, it's way back behind the storm. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, well, let's look back down at our the southern Knox County storm. See what we got going.
Not as profound as it was.
No, definitely not. And it's almost starting to. Yeah, this thing's starting to try to figure out how it wants to organize.
I was gonna say, is that trying to get? It's almost rain wrapping at this point.
Yeah, they're watching it. It's definitely still got some circulation. Put it on the velocity because they're watching it. I wouldn't be shocked if they put a tornado warning based on how they're talking. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is air that's going away from the radar site. Air going towards it. This is this is a strong circulation here that's going in there, right there. Hold on, that's a clockwise circulation. Wait, we're looking at the Abilene. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so yeah, that is a counterclockwise circulation there. Yeah, no, that is a strong one. That is a strong mid-level rotation. I would not be shocked if we didn't get a tornado warning imminently on that.
Yeah, I think we're getting a tornado warning on that guy as well.
Yeah, that circulation looks almost stronger than the one that we had earlier. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so keep that up there. We're going to keep watching that circulation because that is a strong air going away from the radar site, going towards the radar site there. In Knox City, I want you to be overly cautious. I want you to go ahead and get in that safe spot now. You don't have a tornado warning issued by the National Weather Service, but it looks pretty rough coming in. Just go ahead and get away from the exterior walls and windows at least. Make sure you're not sitting next to a window because if something drops and we don't issue the warning until something drops, then that's going to be an issue, of course, because there is plenty of tornado potential right now with this storm. We're looking for, pretty strong circulation here. So in Knox City, get away from the exterior walls and windows. If you want to go ahead and get in that safe spot until the storm passes, I would advise that. Small bathroom, small closet is where you want to be. Go ahead and get those sturdy shoes on. Stay away from the exterior walls and windows. And if you have storm shelter, obviously, that's the best spot to be. So in Knox City, and then eventually, as we go down the line, it's going to get closer to Monday if it stays on this kind of more east-northeast. It might stay a little bit north of Monday there and get pretty close to Rhineland, but right now that is really the trajectory it is on. In Knox City, you've got to be in that safe spot. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and put back on the reflectivity too. Yeah, that one's struggling. It is struggling.
Yeah, this one. It could cycle again, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely, I think
it is cycling. I think it's cycling further to the south here.
Yeah,
into northern portions of Baylor County. That's where the air is flowing into it, and it's definitely getting more of that circulation down there, crossing into portions of Wilbarger County. That's going to be more of our rotational signature there. Yeah, we don't see anything velocity-wise yet.
Yeah.
But usually the reflectivity beats the velocity. Reflectivity usually develops first, and then the velocity becomes an issue. Mm-hmm. And so that's really where we're watching this for the most part. Yeah, I don't see anything velocity-wise to signify a tornado. Although if you are still in this area, these rural homes out in portions of Wilbarger County, Baylor County, and Ford County, you still want to be in your safe spot. You still have a tornado warning. Respect the polygon. You just want to make sure you are protecting yourself on a day like today, especially. We always want you to protect yourself. On a day like this, you really need to protect yourself. Mm-hmm.
And if you're in any of these areas, like a little bit downstream, possibly Lockett, Grayback, Vernon, Elliott, Electra. Obviously, you do not be in your safe spot yet, but just be, like we said with everything, Michael, just be cautious about this. Yeah,
we all need we don't like saying these. We don't find enjoyment in talking about the potential for strong tornadoes. That is not something that we find enjoyment in. We only talk about that stuff because and those of you that met me know this, I don't like promoting storm anxiety. I don't want people to be anxious or nervous. I just don't like that. Y'all watch me on TV all the time during the week. I like to be fun and happy and have a good time. But this is just one of those days where the conditions are there, plain and simple. And you need to have a heightened sense of awareness, calmly as possible, as I know a lot of people get very anxious once again with storms. But we want you to make calm, smart decisions today if you do have to make those decisions. Hopefully you don't, but if you do, we want you to be able to make that decision calmly and informed and be able to protect yourself. So let's go back down to our Knox City one. Yeah, that is a strange looking structure, but what I'm expecting here as it is, because that is a strong core that's developing over that mesocyclone. The mesocyclone, whenever I bring up that word, it's the rotating portion of the thunderstorm, because more storms rotate than produce tornadoes by far. It's just we're watching for low-level rotation. That's the difference. And the mesocyclone is the full rotational updraft of the thunderstorm. And that's why we're developing some large hail. I would expect, they haven't increased it, oh wow, we'll talk about that in a second. They haven't increased the hail size from golf balls, I believe, but I would not be shocked if we started getting closer to tennis ball or baseball sized hail with that circulation and that large hail core that's developed right there in the center of the storm. And I was going to mention this too. What I expect at this point is probably starting to see a hook develop on the southwest flank of that storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just interesting, Michael, because it's just like every time the hook tries it for it, it's almost like there's just more around it all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think I heard someone in my ear.
Oh, there you go, Michael. They did just up it. They upped it to baseballs and
whoever
70.
that is. I hear you talking about Benjamin, but you're a little muffled.
Oh, I think they're talking about what happened. What they said.
Yeah,
in chat.
yeah. Well, someone said it in my ear. Yeah, I saw damage. We are getting reports of damage in Benjamin. Not necessarily. Oh, we're getting video back. Okay, so this is video from Benjamin, I guess, is what I was being told in my ear. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So this is video in Benjamin. See, I'm going to turn y'all up a little bit. Okay, so damage or video from Benjamin. This is, I'm guessing, from Chris Boone, who's been out there. Yeah. So this is from Chris.
Tornado warning coming for Knox County.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, missing storms. We got a good amount of rain on the roads. Okay. We're coming back in a second. Yeah, we got a new tornado warning that's coming back. Okay.
Tornado warning coming on this guy here in Knox County. So Knox City, please get to your safe zone now. I imagine you will be part of this warning. I mean,
absolutely. Knox City, you're going to have a short amount of time here to get to your safe spot.
I would imagine Benjamin and Rhineland.
I bet Monday is also included.
Monday, possibly, yep.
Yeah. We're going to get it here shortly. But that is a strong circulation. And now I do want to point out, we were talking about Benjamin a second ago with the video. There is reports of damage in Benjamin. It is likely, if you remember me talking about earlier, that RFD surge, the rear flank downdraft, excuse me, it is likely associated with that RFD, that rear flank downdraft. That's likely what this circulation or that damage is associated with, those strong winds. Now in Knox City, I would anticipate a very powerful circulation now rolling into Knox City with this storm. Yep. That is a very strong one. We're going to get the warning here in a second. Yeah, any second is going to come in.
But again, also right before they issued the tornado warning.
Here it is.
There it is.
And we mentioned that chance for hail a second ago. They upped it to baseball size hail, like we were talking about. Yeah. So let's. Can you go in the radar and actually turn off the radar for a second? Because I'm having a hard time seeing the exact boundaries here.
Okay.
Yeah. Just hide it for a second. So obviously in Knox City, there's our hook actually right there in the middle. So it does include Monday. It goes all the way to the southern border of Knox County. Rhineland, you're also included. Benjamin is just to the southeast of you. If you live anywhere along Texas Highway 6 in Knox County, south out of Benjamin, you are included in this warning. If you are along the road between Knox City and Monday, you are included in this warning, of course. I mean, everyone southeast of Benjamin, generally speaking, and south of Benjamin, you are going to be included in this warning in Knox County. So he's going to draw it out there. How fast is it moving?
25.
25. It seems like slower moving storms. Rhineland about 318. Why don't you put it up again just in case it does turn to the south and include Monday, so we can give Monday a good time frame too.
Do a bigger. Oh.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that works.
Do kind of a bigger one here.
Yeah, give a good time frame to everybody. Okay, so Knox City, it's really on your doorstep. Knox City, it says 3:02. It could be 3 o'clock even. 3:17 for Monday. Did not give us the Rhineland time that time, but that's fine. It's about 3:17, 3:18, just like Monday. So that's going to be your time frame. Let's go ahead and put back on the reflectivity. Yep, and just actually a person I went to school with now that works for the National Weather Service, Norman just mentioned, the circulation is going right over Knox City. And Knox City, I cannot stress this enough. You got to get away from the exterior walls and windows. Small bathroom, small closets, especially as we're seeing more of a hook start to develop as it's rolling into Knox City.
Hook, info bound, just everything's there.
Yeah, everything is there. We don't have any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but you got to get to your safe spot, away from exterior walls and windows. Small bathrooms, small closets. We actually just got a confirmed report of baseball-sized hail also about 5 miles west of Knox City. So large hail confirmed with this storm, very large hail. But the more important part of this is that tornado. Tornado potential, because we don't have anything confirmed. We can't say for sure something's on the ground here. But in Knox City, you got to get to your storm shelter, your basement if you have one, because most of us don't have them. If you live in a mobile home, I would advise anyone today, if you live in a mobile home, I would advise leaving that mobile home, finding a sturdier structure on a day like today. Yeah, this is a bad situation. If you're already in a mobile home right now in Knox City, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, you could leave it and try to find a low-lying area. You could try to ride it out, but if it's a large tornado, it's going to toss that thing. That's just how it is with a strong circulation like this. So that's going right into Knox City. Out towards Monday, it's going to be a while away from you, but in Knox City, I cannot stress this enough. You have got to get to your safe spot now. We'll go ahead and put on the velocities. Or, yeah, we can look at the debris tracker. Don't see anything there.
See anything there yet.
Just like the one we were talking about earlier, if you remember us talking about with the curvature of the Earth and the radar, we're looking a little bit higher up in the atmosphere. If we do see debris pop up here, that means we probably have a large tornado on the ground. But we don't see anything popping up on the debris tracker. Thank you very much. All my nice coworkers bringing me water. I appreciate that because I'm going to be talking a lot today. Yeah, that is a strong circulation
Very
going right
strong.
in.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're getting
it's a little bit broad. If you're looking for some positivity here, it's a little broad still, but all it takes is a second for it to get a little bit tighter. That is a powerful circulation. Go ahead and put on the gate-to-gate shear, will you? What was that?